how we got here. For the past 2 decades, I have talked with, counseled, coached, or walked alongside people from every walk of life. Parents whose kids have not lived up to their expectations. Kids who are responsible for making sure dad doesn't get angry or mom doesn't feel lonely. Grieving widows who are trying to rebuild their lives out of ash. I've looked parents in the eye and told them their child is no longer alive. I've watched folks crumble in the aftermath of abuse, losing their job, or finding out their spouse has cheated. I've spoken at or attended more memorial services than I can remember. I've sat with folks who don't have enough money to eat and no one to call. People who've been sexually assaulted and abused. People who've been kicked and stomped to the margins for not looking or living like everyone else. I've also spent countless hours with people whose lives aren't yet in ashes, but the fires are burning and they can't breathe through the smoke. People up to their eyeballs in debt who, after clarinet lessons and travel soccer and the school dance recital and yet another tuition increase, find themselves with no margin. People doing more work for less money with barely enough to make it through the month, worried because the air conditioner's on life support, milk is $1,000 a gallon, and eggs are trading on Wall Street. And as I look deeply in my own mirror, this is me and my family too. You and me and all of us. We have created frantic, chaotic roller coaster lives. We've either been dropped into anxious ecosystems or we've built our own anxious lives from the ground up. And somewhere along the way, we became convinced that this was freedom. Or we know there's more to life, but we don't know where to turn. We're anxious on the way to work. We're anxious on the way home from work. We're glued to our phones for the latest housing and stock market numbers. And if one card falls, the whole house of cards comes crashing down. We've outsourced romance to The Bachelor, our homes to Chip and Joanna, our spiritual lives to Instagram and the scientific method, and our kids to digital babysitters. We snap at our children, look to remove stress by adding things like a new planner, a yoga class, or a fad diet. We use chemicals to wake up in the morning and rely on pills and drinks to drag ourselves into the dark waters of sleep at night. All the while, we're living in an environment we were never made for. Let me say that again another way because it's the main premise of this book. We've created a world our bodies cannot exist in. Every day in 1,000 ways, our bodies are screaming at us, sounding the alarms that we're disconnected and lonely. We're unsafe and unhealthy. We've given away all our autonomy, and now bosses and mortgage companies and in-laws and academic advisors are controlling our lives. And then it happens. You're meeting someone at a hotel who's not your wife. You're pouring vodka into your coffee mug first thing in the morning. You're padding your hours on your time card, or you're yelling at your kids or disappearing from your spouse into a cavern of silence like an angry bear. You stop going to church. You and your husband stop having sex. You and your wife have no common purpose. You're just glorified roommates, each living your own life in parallel. You quit your job and then beg to get it back. 3 weeks in and you're already back on LinkedIn looking for other leads. You sell your home, buy something that's more quote-unquote you, and lock yourself into a mortgage you'll never pay off. Does any of this sound familiar? We don't know how we got here, what we're doing, or where to go from here, but we know anxious, worried, and paralyzed by fear.